So, hi, welcome back. I'm Mark. This is Ponderings from Palm Coast. Today, I have a special guest, someone that I've been trying for a while now to bring to the podcast because the passion and energy that this person brings to what we all should be doing and helping to help our country survive and to make these changes. So I want her to share some of the things she's doing today. So welcome.
Thank you.
Vicky, it's so great to see you, and I really appreciate you being here. As always, share a little bit about how you got to Palm Coast, and then you can just blow us away with all the amazing things you're doing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me, Mark. I appreciate that. I always love to see women out there in the community, on podcasts and, speaking about what their passions are. And so thank you for having me. I
Sure.
appreciate that. But I was born and raised, in Maine. So cold, snowy Maine. So
I love Maine.
it's gorgeous. Anybody that's able to take
Summertime.
a vacation there, take a vacation any time of year. When we go back and visit now, we want to go at different times to enjoy all four seasons. So I highly recommend anybody that wants to take a relaxing vacation, that's where you want to go, is to Maine.
Stay away from Bar Harbor, though.
Ooh.
It's touristy,
It's
crazy.
touristy, but I do love Bar Harbor and
I
Arcadia
do.
National Park.
Oh, my.
That's a great place to visit in Thunder Hole. But we would vacation, our family would vacation here in Florida once or twice a year with our children. So we'd bring 4 children down here to Florida to vacation. And we always felt like we didn't have the chance to explore it, see it all. We do some of the commercial things, but we wanted to see the beauty of Florida. Mm-hmm. So we thought about, could we move here? Could it be our life? And my husband is a master electrician. And so he was on the cusp in Maine of going out on his own in Maine and having his own business there, which would have been great because we had so many connections, family,
Sure.
friends. Or could he go out on his own and make that happen in Florida? And we had just built a beautiful home in Maine on a pond. And so the only water in Lewiston, Maine, we had built a home on. And so we had a pretty nice life. And then we looked at each other and we said, well, life isn't about a house. Life is about, who you meet, where you go, what you see, what you take in, right? Well, to us anyway, that's what it meant. So we thought, can we make it happen? And we started doing research and looking into things. And I went to college in Maine to work with children. And a teacher's aide of mine in Maine had moved to Florida. And so I told my husband, I'm going to look her up. I'm going to see what she's doing because she had 2 small children. And I said to my husband, she would not move to a place in Florida that was bad for her kids. And so I noticed that she started out in Ormond and then she moved to Palm Coast. So I was like, we've got to check out this Palm Coast. We've got to see what Palm Coast is all about.
And when was that?
That was about 18 years ago.
Oh, my God.
So we came down. And
Not the Palm Coast today, huh?
Not the Palm Coast today. So we checked it out and we loved it. We fell in love with the water, being near the water, but near all kinds of activities in St. Augustine, in Daytona, Miami, Orlando. We've traveled to Clearwater, St. Pete, the Keys. We've gone to Savannah, Georgia. Lots of cruises. So it's really brought us a lot of opportunity in life.
Yeah, it's for all those things. It's so centrally located, and that's great. So 18 years. That means you raised your kids here?
Yes. So I was married in the past and divorced and had 2 small children, and that's part of what my passion is about now. Is I had it really hard. I had it really tough being a single mom with 2 kids. We really didn't get to. I would work full time and part time, and just barely make ends meet. And so we didn't do special things. We didn't go to the movies. We didn't go to McDonald's. We didn't go, do anything like that special for ourselves. And then, a few years later, I met my husband now, and we've been married for 25 years in April, which, so because of my experience as a single mom and not being able to do much or even barely afford a birthday cake for my kids, one of the things that we're working on right now, we talk about my projects all the time.
Yeah.
And one of the projects I'm working on right now is for our 25th wedding anniversary in April. We're not wealthy, but we have a blessed life. We're able to do some things now for ourselves. And so my children and my grandchildren are coming to Florida. We got them airline tickets to come. We gave it to them as a Christmas gift. And they're going to come down for our anniversary. We're going to renew our vows. But because we feel blessed and because we feel we get to do something special, we want to give back to the community as well. And I had heard that out near Route 100 in Bunnell, one of the food banks on Saturdays has a line a mile long.
It does.
So that's concerning to me because I was in those shoes 30 years ago. That was me, and I know what it feels like. And so I just feel that one small thing that my husband and I can do, because we get to go do something special with our family, is we're making these cake kits. And, some people might not be able to afford to make a cake or buy a cake for their special occasion. So because we've been married 25 years, we're making 25 cake kits. And I'm not sure if many of your viewers know, you can Google about it, but people that can't afford eggs and butter can make a cake by just pouring one soda into it.
Really?
Yes. So the cake kits we're making will have a cake mix, frosting, some pan spray, the pan, so if they don't have a pan at home, and something special to go on top. We're doing some for birthdays, we're doing some for anniversaries, and the soda will be in it. All of this will be in it. We're making 25, and I've been looking into who I'm going to donate them to. I thought about maybe the sheltering tree, our local warming shelter, because when I was in 4th and 5th grade, I had a poignant teacher in my life, and I'm still connected to her to this day, Mrs. Ryder. And she's in Maine. And once a month for birthdays, she would make cupcakes. And anybody who had a birthday in that month would be called to the front of the class and get to hold a cupcake and have their picture taken. And we were thought of. And she was a very thoughtful, loving teacher. And so I thought, well, maybe the warming tree, the sheltering tree, might bake a cake once per month, because I know they're always in need of food donations for the homeless who are staying there. And if they made one once a month and said, we're celebrating anybody who has an event this month, and it's just one small way they could celebrate.
That's amazing.
So working on that at the moment. So
Only that?
Well,
I bet.
So yesterday I had a project.
So let's hear about it. Come on.
Yesterday I hosted at my house.
You have time for everybody else too, right?
Well, so I've been busy. I'm a little tired. But yesterday at my home, I reached out to a local artist. My aunt is an artist in Maine. She does shows. Her name is Kathy Bouchard. And her husband, my uncle, was the director of the Portland Museum of Art in Maine. So they're local artists there. And so I have a passion for that. And I met a local artist. Her name is Jilly Nell. And I said to Jilly, I looked into painting with a twist for my son's birthday. And it was $50 per person, and you get a glass of wine while you're painting. So I said to Jilly, I said, what if we did, instead of painting with a twist, posters for the pissed? People who are upset, about what's happening in our
There's
society.
a few of those out there right now.
There's some out there right now. So we thought we'd reach out to those people who are looking for connection and camaraderie during this, tumultuous time in our country. So, when I reached out to Jilly about it, an artist, she said, we could maybe call it posters for wokesters. I said, that's a great idea. So we pulled it together. I started, talking with people in the community about the idea, and there was a need for it. People wanted that. So yesterday at my house, there was about 15 people, and we all came together and to make some posters to be able to bring to rallies and be able to put up in the front of our window in our own homes. And I
Is that
brought
what
with me
these are?
today, some posters
They're-
that we made yesterday. And tomorrow night here in Palm Coast, I believe that's March 4th is tomorrow night. So I don't know when this podcast will come out, but if people see this podcast before then, anybody in our community is welcome to join us who support Ukraine and President Zelensky. So at our Posters for Wokesters and Posters for the Pissed, we made some of these I Stand with Ukraine signs. And we also worked on this one, Your Voice Matters. My daughter Lovey made this one. She works for Flagler County Emergency Management, helping people during hurricanes. And so my daughter made this one, wanting people to know that everybody's voice matters.
So you're referring to the rallies that they're putting on tomorrow night?
So there's one tomorrow night
I
for
thought-
Ukraine.
Oh, right. And I
Right.
know they're doing a rally at the 100 by the Target
Tomorrow night.
tomorrow night, and also by the ABC store by the Flag as
Tomorrow
well.
night.
Tomorrow night.
Yes, tomorrow
Because
night.
today is Monday, the
Right.
3rd.
Yeah, tomorrow,
So-
Tuesday the 4th.
Right.
If this podcast is out by then, anybody who would like to stand with us in
Yeah,
regards to
no,
that.
these are beautiful.
This was one more that was made to stop the insanity. A lot of locals are feeling upset about,
Oh.
Elon Musk going into the, Treasury Department.
Sure.
And some people feel that he's bought his way into our government when he wasn't elected.
Right.
And, chopping down programs that are much needed in our country. And so there are some people who want to stop the insanity. So we worked on that one as well. But also at the event that I had yesterday, I also coordinated with a good friend of mine, actually, Michelle Harley. She's my partner in Good Trouble. So she and I have teamed up, and in January, I organized a sign waving for the People's March. There was a People's March in Washington, and I wanted to
Right.
see one happen here because I had gotten tickets to the inauguration. I had an Airbnb set up there. I got a call from Representative Michael Walsh's office that I was chosen to go to the inauguration. I had 5 tickets, and I wanted to see the first female person of color be inaugurated. And that was my hope and my passion. And when I got the call that I was receiving the tickets and it wasn't Kamala Harris that won, I wasn't interested in going to the inauguration anymore. And so I reached out to Michelle, and I asked her if she would come to my home yesterday after working with me on the election last fall, and we worked very hard on the Yes on 4 campaign together. We made phone calls, we did sign waving, we did a lot for that last fall. She's now helping out. She's the Flagler organizer for the Josh Wheel campaign.
Right.
So she came by to my Posters for Wokesters event with Jilly, and she brought these brand new Josh Wheel cards.
Right. I've seen those around already. Yeah.
So she shared these with everyone in the group, and there's lots of great information about Josh Wheel on here.
Right.
And if people want to get involved, every effort matters. Everything that people can do to help the campaign matters. If you can go canvass, they really need help with canvassing and knocking on doors. But people that are unable to do that, you might be able to help with social media. You might be able to help with sign waving. You might be able to help by just make sure you vote.
April 1st.
April 1st. And you can double your vote by getting friends, family, people you talk to at the grocery store
Yeah.
to vote. So those are simple ways that people can help. And people can reach out to the Josh Wheel campaign, or people can reach out to Flagler County Democrats, or people can reach out to Michelle Harley, who is our Flagler County organizer for the campaign. So those are all ways that people can help.
Right.
So
and being proactive, as I know you are, and just finding time to do things. I tell us about this book, banned book issues. I've been hearing some phenomenal things about. What's
I'd
your
love to tell
passion
you about
there?
that. I'd love to tell you about that. Well, I became passionate about it because last fall, in my efforts for the Yes on 4 campaign, which I was very disappointed that we lost, that effort. 50% of Florida voters,
Well,
more
we
than
won the effort.
we won the
We
effort.
didn't hit a mandatory
60%.
60%,
Right, we came close, 57%.
which was higher than some of the other states that didn't have that 60% guideline.
Right.
We were the only ones that had that ceiling. Welcome to Florida.
Yes. But more than
ahead.
half of Floridians
Exactly.
wanted
Yes.
this to pass.
That is true.
And it was frustrating and devastating that our governor, Ron DeSantis, was taking our taxpayer dollars to fight against it. So people can look it up, but I think he took somewhere around $5 million
That's
to
correct. Yeah.
fight against the efforts of
The
little
people.
people like me, trying to get the word out.
Right.
So we didn't have that kind of money. So we did what we could, and we did the phone banking, and we did, those kinds of things. And I had heard about the separation of church and state group here in town. And I reached out to Meryl Shapiro, and I
Right.
joined that group because they were making some efforts towards women's medical freedom.
Sure.
So I joined in that group, and as that Yes on 4 started to wind down, the passion for that group turned into banned books. So I listened to my peers, and I started reading and realizing what was happening. Even to right now, last week, Moms for Liberty are working to get a principal fired in the DeLand Deltona area because of some books they saw pictured behind her in her library. And so, Moms of Liberty are, fighting to have books taken out of our Florida schools. So I was listening to the passion of my peers about that, and we had a speaker come and talk to us about that. And the efforts that Volusia County was making were phenomenal. I admire them. They were working very vigorously and very hard on the effort. And I honestly felt like I couldn't do what they were doing. And that's why every action matters, is some people cannot go canvassing, or some people cannot go to every school board meeting or every town hall meeting. So I thought, what can I do? My group is talking about this passion, and I brought it up to the separation of church and state group. Could we make a free little library of banned books? Because
Awesome.
I've seen that we have a free little library in town, but not a free little library of banned books. So we didn't end up working on it as a group. And I'm a person that I hate to take no for an answer. And I felt like
Yeah, I
that
don't
was
think anything's
within.
going to stop you from a direction. That
I felt
you're
like it was
going.
something I could do. And so I went online and I researched free little libraries. And I just turned mine into a free little library for banned books. And I've been working on that. And it's cost me a little bit more than I've wanted it to, but I have had, some donations. And so yesterday at my Posters for Wokesters, one woman, Joanne, she's from the Volusia area, she came and she just brought this donation yesterday. So this is
Oh, yeah.
The Handmaid's Tale. So this will be featured in my free little library here in Palm Coast. And then I've had, my friend from Maine has gotten involved, and she's sent books from Maine, and I have several copies of Anne Frank's diary in my free little library. And
So
then
where is this?
it's right here in Palm Coast. I'm in the B section near the
So
Flagler
it's by your
County
home.
Library. It's right in front of my home. And so I've taken precautions with that too. I have a Ring doorbell camera set up right on it, and I have lights that come on in my yard if anybody comes in my yard at night. Because unfortunately, in the political atmosphere in America right now, I feel that sometimes people are revved up or hyped up that potential violence could occur or vandalism. And so I have a whole section in my house of banned books that if something happens to my free little library of banned books, I can restock it.
But it didn't stop you.
It won't stop
And
me.
it
It's
shouldn't
my
stop,
property.
right, it shouldn't stop anyone from being active, whether you're canvassing or you have a yard sign or you're something on your vehicle.
It's our
We
private
are
property.
fighting hard to maintain that freedom of speech
Yes.
and the belief that we all have different thoughts of things. So
Exactly.
that's what you're
exactly.
doing with this this small little library that's out in front of your house?
Yes. And I do have books for all age groups. So I have some books for, 8 to 10 books for children, 2 to 7 years old. And then I have some chapter books for middle school readers. Then I have some books like Harry Potter. Harry Potter's banned. So I have some Harry Potter books in my free little library. And then I have some adult books too, like this one as well, Animal Farm.
Oh, yeah.
But this one was a shocker to me to find out it was banned. A lot of us grew up with Where the Wild Things Are, and that's banned. And
love
Charlotte's Web is banned. I have that in my free little library. Captain Underpants is banned. So I have quite a few selections for people to
Sure.
choose from. So also when people bring their kids, because what I was talking about when I was a single mother, when I was young and I had no money, is I always loved it when I could bring my kids to the library and they could read. And if they met a certain quota with the library, they'd bring their paperback to the library and be able to get a free little treat.
Nice.
And so I always loved it when they could go get a free ice cream somewhere, or it helped me help my children. So in my free little library of banned books, I have 6 packets up in the top, and children can choose a treat when they read a book. So there's some I Love Reading pins, there's bracelets, and I have in there free Frosties for a whole year at Wendy's. So when parents bring their child, or a child wants to come to a free little library, they get to borrow a book and they get a coupon to go get a free Frosty at Wendy's for all of 2025.
And how's that been received?
People are loving it.
Nice.
Yep. So people come and people go and they sign in and out. I'm fully expecting that some of the books won't come back because that happens at the regular library.
Oh, yeah.
So all the books that I put in there, I do it with the intention that this might be a gift to someone.
So how can people help you with that?
Well, they're welcome to bring a book to me, Vicky Haley, or drop it off at the Flagler Democrats office, and I could get it from them.
Including donations?
Yes, and so I have had...
Donations are...
Well, yeah, I've spent more than I thought I would on this project.
Sure.
And a local gentleman has reached out and said that he would do a GoFundMe for it. And so I'm hoping that happens because that would be helpful. And then his intent, too, with helping me, is his hope is that people will follow my lead and that there'll be other free little libraries of banned books right here in Flagler County. And he's hoping there might be 10 to 15 of them. And I think it's a great idea. And he's asked me if I would advise people on what I've done, if he helps me out. And I'd be more than happy to lead
Vicky,
people in the right direction.
That's part of the reason I've been trying to get you to come and share with us is one idea sparks many ideas. And it's contagious. And in today's ever-changing daily events that are going on, people need outlets. You're
Yes, they do.
meeting to make signs, and the things that you're doing is clearly your way of staying sane in this insanity that's going on. So are there any new things that you're considering or you're thinking about trying to
Yes.
grow?
Absolutely. So it's interesting you brought it up, that I've been very interested in years for the group Indivisible Guide, and that's a national program, and people can find Indivisible Guide on social media. And sometimes the group is reported on in news shows. And so I've been a part of looking at a variety of indivisible guide groups here in Florida and how we can make the group better here in Flagler. And so there is a Flagler Indivisible group on Facebook. I encourage everybody to join it. And I have reached out to Indivisible Guide in Mandarin. They have a great program going.
So
and
can
what
you
they
share a
do,
little bit about what
right?
is it?
Okay,
What
so
is
what
it?
they
What do
do
you get
is-
out of the Facebook page?
So it's your connection to knowing what's going on with the group if you join the Facebook
Okay.
page. So Indivisible Mandarin, I've been in contact with them. They do a great job. They have a website, they do a monthly newsletter, and it's mostly actions that you can take to help causes in your area. So, the event that I organized in January, the People's March, falls under that umbrella.
Oh,
And
okay.
then my partner in Good Trouble, Michelle Harley, she organized and I backed her up on the Not My President's Day March here in town over the bridge on President's Day. So we did that for February. That falls under the umbrella of what the Indivisibles do. A group of 100 people got together and went to Rick Scott's office a couple of weeks ago to voice concerns and give their opinions.
His local office. Or
Yes,
in-
there's one in Jacksonville.
There was one
So
in
sometimes you
Jacksonville,
might have to
okay.
travel a little ways
No,
to
no. I mean, I was
Jacksonville. Different
road
groups.
trip to D.C. to see.
Oh no, no. But they
I think
went to the Jacksonville.
we're getting to
office.
that point, though, aren't we?
Yes. But whatever we can do locally, and so that's what I'm doing is connecting with these groups all over the country to see what they're doing and see what we can bring here to Flagler County. And there were some women here locally who started the group years ago, but some have moved away. Some are getting older and don't have the time or can't do it anymore. And so they actually reached out to me and Michelle Harley and said, can you step up? Can you take this on? And when Michelle and I were looking for a group, we were looking to be helpers. And it has turned into that she's on the Josh Wheel campaign and I am working on the Flagler Indivisible. So it was more than we wanted to take on, but there's a need for it in our community.
Definitely.
So we need to step up and we need to do what we can to get things growing and get things moving and having people take action with us in voicing our concerns and voicing our opinions.
Sure. It's part of the reason I have a passion about this podcast, getting information to those that I think are thirsty for it, that have a need for it. And with all of the myths and disinformation that is being bombarded, radio, TV, podcast, to try to have a voice in our world, in our left-leaning kind of liberal view of things that are happening was a huge hole I found. There was nothing being done. It was very quiet, especially during the general. And I know that we were both passionate doing a lot of things through the general. Didn't turn out the way we wanted it to.
Right.
But we have to acknowledge where we live, in a state that we live, and yet the energy behind it and the people like yourself and others that are not distinct. They're not slowing down. They're not taking that as I'm going to give up and just go live in my living room anymore. You're going to get active, and that's what I love about your passion and the other things that you yourself are involved with in things that you bring to the table. And
Well, thank you. And I thank you for what you're doing. What you just said, there was a need for what you're doing. There is a need for what you're doing. And
well,
so you're doing it.
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Right.
I looked, and all I had found was conservative this and conservative radio and all of these things. And I knew that most of them were not true. I could do a 4-hour podcast every day on misinformation that's coming out to help people. But as I say in all of my podcasts, you have the ability to verify every truth that you hear. You've got a phone in your hand. You can Google, you can research. And I love to quote Ronald Reagan a few times. Trust, but verify in all the things that you hear they're doing. And realize that you're being lied to.
Right.
But being positive in the efforts that you're doing is what I really wanted and want to continue to hold you up and others that aren't passive. You're passive aggressive. You're motivated. You're putting things together. The rally on the bridge was amazing.
That was a great one. We had some signs up there on the bridge so that when people left the Daytona 500 that day, they were passing right by and they saw all our signs on the bridge. And Michelle and I were interviewed by the Daytona News Journal that day, and video too. So Palm Coast made the Daytona News Journal for that effort.
Sure.
So that was good. We got some coverage for it, and more people got to hear about it. But along with what you were just saying too, and what I said before, is every effort matters.
Exactly.
If you can't be the one to organize an event, be the one to show up for 1 hour. If you cannot show up for 1 hour, be the one on social media to tell people about it so other people could come. Everything matters. Every little thing we can do for our community. No act is too small.
So I'm finding in my travels and in my exposure while I'm canvassing or just talking to other people, going door to door and others, they're not even aware that the neighbor next to them is like-minded.
Right.
And I spend time and I hand out literature, but I also let them know that 2 doors down is another passionate Democrat or a liberal that feels the same way you do.
Right.
Because so often I'm approached by people that feel alone.
Right.
Are you experiencing things like that?
Yes, and that's been me as well. But a couple of interesting things that happened along with what you're saying right now is because I have been on social media, one woman here in our community, Sandy, she reached out to me because she saw how active I was being online. And she said, I'm part of a group called Resistor Sisters. Oh, wow. And they just need camaraderie with one another, because when they all go do their small activisms of their own kind, it gets exhausting. And they need to come together just to do nothing and talk and laugh and have a good time and be together. And she said, would you like to come to the group? And I said, absolutely. So she invited me to the Resistor Sisters. And
sounds like a good fit for you.
And so I said, can I invite my good trouble friend, Michelle? And she said, absolutely. And I said, is it all older women, or can I bring my daughter who's 22? She said, she's welcome. So my daughter was a little bit reluctant because it was all older women. Well, we all went and hung out, had a good time, made some toast, talked with one another. And I'll tell you, my daughter had a blast. I had a blast. We had so much fun. So we're going to be going to another gathering with the Resistor Sisters this month. So that's fun. And so we've been able to, have some camaraderie and just talking. Another thing that happened along with what you're saying is because of what I have put out on social media and online with my free little library. I put it up in some groups here locally in Palm Coast in Bladder County. And this woman reaches out to me and she said, I'm looking out my window at your free little library. I'm your neighbor. And our husbands had met, but she and I had never met. And so she said, can I come right over? And she came right over. She looked at the free little library. She borrowed a book. We hugged each other. We've become friends. And guess what? She's the artist that did the posters for Wokesters at my house. So it was all because she saw me on social media. I saw her, and we came together.
It's phenomenal.
So-
And it's love and positive. It drives me nuts when I hear over and over again from the left blaming us as being full of hate and full of meanness and doing terrible things.
No,
I don't see it.
I don't either.
I see embrace and I see support and I see appreciation. You know, your efforts with the cake kit and the people that are volunteering and they're out there trying to help hold people up.
Yes.
So what else you got going on for us?
Well,
So
I'm
one
not
thing I
sure.
want to
We've
make sure
covered everything that we could talk about.
One things I want to make sure that we offer to our listeners, our viewers, is where to go, how to find this information. Because I can tell you, I ran into at least 20 people that were so devastated they missed your bridge rally. And they didn't know about it. They
Okay.
didn't get visibility to it. And we're trying better through the community to provide real-time sources. So do you have thoughts on that?
Yes. For those that are on Facebook, that's my biggest connection. I belong to a Flagler County Indivisible group. I watch the Flagler County Dems page. People can stop into the Flagler County Democrat office that's located right upstairs from QNote
Right.
and get on their email
Marketplace,
list.
right? It's in
Yes,
the marketplace?
that's right. Right upstairs from QNote Billiards on the second floor. I went in there. I stopped in one day a while back, a year ago maybe, and just introduced myself and got on their email list. So I get emails from them if there's things going on in the community. So that really helps me. So I would say to get engaged on social media if possible. Those that aren't engaged with social media, stop in with the Democrat office and introduce yourself and get on the email list at least.
Exactly.
That's at least a connection.
That would be helpful. Hopefully, maybe within this podcast, we'll put up some sources of information and
That would be
Facebook locations. And we're trying to even grow. You know, you talk about your 22-year-old daughter, and there are so many young people that are in our area that feel they don't really have a voice or a place to go to. A lot of our meetings are in the day during lunch when they're working, and
Right.
we are trying aggressively to move more into the evening to reach that group of people because they bring ideas and concepts and things that somebody like myself would not even know how to bring and address. So
We need young people to get engaged. We need young people to get active. There's a lot of women doing the work on the front lines and organizing. We need our partners. We need our husbands and male friends to be involved and show up. The majority of women at the two rallies that Michelle and I have organized in the last 2 months, it's a majority of women that show up. So we really need men to get involved and youth. And there is no youth Democrat group locally. However, the Volusia County Democrats are extremely active. I tuned in. They had a deep canvassing training last week. And I signed up. I tuned in. They're young. They did a great job teaching about deep canvassing. And so I took screenshots of things they were talking about and made a post about it on our Flagler Indivisible page. for anybody who missed the meeting, about YouTube videos they can go to and learn from, and articles they can go to and learn from. I put that all on the Flagler Indivisible page, so that we can all learn from that. And so these young people are doing amazing things. And from what I've been told, our local young people are welcome to go take part in that group. They're always welcoming young people to help. And I even know a woman who's more towards my age who has gone into Ormond and helped these young people with canvassing because she cares about their cause.
Sure.
So anybody that wants to join their page and even support them, tell them they're doing a good job, uplift them. That's within our power to join the Volusia Young Democrats page on Facebook, like it, comment to them, thank them for their work.
Right. Well, we're not going away. We've just committed the Democratic office for another full year with donations. I believe that the passion and the concerns of things that are going on is only going to grow.
I agree.
And by reaching to the young, you're growing your future.
Absolutely.
You are in part powering them. And as I say to I have two sons in their 30s, and when they say to me, Dad, why aren't you just retired? Why don't you just chill? You've worked your whole life. And I go, I'm doing this for them.
Yes.
I'm trying to build a future. And I think a lot of us are very concerned right now about what the future is going to be like, so that they have at least the same opportunities that I've had to grow and have a life and buy a home and all those things. So that's a great motivator, and you are without a fault the most motivated person I've been exposed to, and I applaud everything that you're doing and everything you're gonna be doing, and you're not going away, and I'm sure
and you aren't.
You've got 5 more ideas that you're ready to get going. And after we get Josh elected and we send that message to Washington, D.C.,
America is counting on us.
I agree.
America is counting on us to flip this seat.
Oh, we are speaking. We are voting. We are voting for all the ones in this entire country that don't have a voice right now.
Your vote is your voice.
Well, exactly. But think about Colorado, New York, Utah, all of these states that are sitting here watching these things go. And here in District 6 and in District 1 over in the Panhandle, we have this opportunity to send 2 Democrats from red Florida to the House of Representatives and flip it, put Hakeem Jeffries as the speaker for an instant roadblock to what is happening in Washington. You cannot underestimate that message. And we need to work, and you are just
Well, it takes all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And it takes all efforts matter. And it takes, we can't do it alone. We need to reach NPAs, and we need to reach moderate Republicans who are upset with what's going on in the country and the way that Trump and Vance treated Zelensky last Friday. Shows us what's happening and how they're aligning America with Russian views and Russian ways. We're supposed to be the leader of the free world, and Ukraine is a democracy that votes like we do. And we have always backed Ukraine, and the way that President Zelensky was treated last Friday by America was appalling to me. And so we need to rise up and get the MPAs who are upset and the moderate Republicans who are upset to join us for this vote. It's okay to cross party lines for America's sake. I was an NPA for 45 years. So I supported Democrat views and Republican views, but here in Florida, to vote in the primaries, you have to choose one side or the other. And so I chose the side that most aligns with
Well, I'm
my
glad
views.
you did.
So I'm with you.
But my passion is to get people to participate. Our
I'm with you.
numbers, 13% of the eligible voters in this county voted for the primary. We're not going to survive with that level of participation.
Agreed.
So that's the conversation, and that's the point that I make to every American. I served for 20 years, and
Thank
I
you.
traveled all over the world, and most of the places I went, they had no vote, they had no say, they couldn't push back. The gift we have is so lost on much of our citizens. And as I think it was Benjamin Franklin that said, you have to fight for this democracy, or in some way was saying, if you don't participate, you'll
Right.
lose it.
We don't want to lose our right to vote. So everybody get out there
Yeah,
and
exactly.
vote.
Well, Vicky, thank you so much for spending some time with us and
Thank you,
sharing
Mark.
your passion. You are what we should all try to strive for,
Thank
and to
you.
get out there and participate. So thanks again for coming.
I
Any
appreciate
last-
your passion. So-
Any last thoughts? Anything you want to say before we close?
No, just thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate your time, and
Oh,
I
it
appreciate
was-
this conversation.
I love to bring guests in that have a story. They've been touched, they're concerned, they're proactive, because it's what we should all strive to do a little better. So thanks again. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Glad to be
You're
friends with you.
awesome. Guys, I just want to thank you for stopping by. And remember, please, to like and subscribe to the channel. We're growing. Our views are happening. There's a voice out there. We're reaching people for you. So thanks again for coming, and I look forward to seeing you soon.